Write a procedural manual. A procedural manual is a document that states how an action is done. This manual is important in businesses and different work fields. There are several factors to consider when writing the manual. However, writing the manual may vary depending on the procedure being explained. Here are some tips and guidelines in writing a general procedural manual. General overview. The procedural manual contains chapters that discuss different areas. The things that should be included in the procedural manual are the version of the manual and the last time it was revised, the personnel involved in the process being discusses, policy statement for the procedure, step-by-step instruction on how to do the procedure, some useful examples and illustrations explaining the procedure if necessary. These are the elements that will make your procedural manual complete. Objectives. For the introduction of the procedural manual, you must explain the main objective. In this section, you must explain the reason and the goal for the manual. This may be to instruct employees, improve performance, etc. Research. The most important part of the procedural manual is the step-by-step instructions explaining how to do a task properly. For this, you have to do extensive research in order to provide the right steps in doing the procedure. You might want to interview or observe someone who has knowledge in performing the task. By doing this, you can make sure that you are giving out the correct information for the procedural manual. Proper wording. Make sure that you write down the procedures in a clear and concise manner when writing the procedural manual. You do not want to provide chunks of paragraphs since this will be harder to read. You can write down the procedures step by step or in bullet points so that it is easier to read. After writing, reread the procedures again to eliminate unnecessary words and items. Have the manual approved. After writing the manual, the next step is to let someone read and approve it. The proofreader should have the knowledge and skills in the procedure that is being discussed in the manual. If the procedures are written clearly, you should have no problems. There may be some minor revisions that need to be done. Afterwards, you can already compile the manual. Additional content. You can add some content to the manual that will aid the readers in understanding the manual better. Include illustrations, pictures, charts, examples and other references that will be useful for the manual. These are the simple tips that you can use if you want to write a procedural manual. If you follow these tips carefully, you will be able to come up with a manual that is easy to read and understand. When writing, take note of the people who will be reading the manual. Give them the final copy of the procedural manual and conduct a meeting discussing the contents so that everyone will be updated on the changes and so that they can ask questions that they may have regarding the content.